Lake Neusiedl. Lake Neusiedl German, Neusiedler See or Fertő Hungarian, Fertő Croatian, Nezidersko jezero, Niuzaljsko jezero, Slovene, Nezidersko jezero, Slovak, Neziderské jazero, Czech. Neziderské jezero is the largest endorheic lake in Central Europe, straddling the Austrian-Hungarian border. The lake covers 315 km to 102 sq mi, of which 240 km to 93 sq mi is on the Austrian side and 75 km to 29 sq mi on the Hungarian side. The lake's drainage basin has an area of about 1120 km to 430 sq mi. From north to south, the lake is about 36 km 22 mi long, and it is between 6 km 3 plus 1/2 mi and 12 km 7 plus 1/2 mi wide from east to west. On average, the lake's surface is 115.45 and 378.8 ft above the Adriatic Sea, and the lake is no more than 1.8 m 5 ft 11 in deep. Water level fluctuations. In the past, rainfall and aridity caused significant floods, which in 1768 enlarged the lake to its maximum documented size of 515 km to 199 sq mi and significant decreasing, although frequently there seemed to be no apparent connection with the weather situation. Stratigraphy shows that the lake bed has totally dried up at least 100 times since its formation 18,000–14,000 BC. During recent history, the lake's complete disappearance has been documented in considerable detail on several occasions, e.g. in 1740, 1742, 1811, 1813, and most recently in 1866, when the private diary of a local, Gottlieb Wenzel, noted that he crossed the bed of the lake on 4 June with parts of the lake bed were claimed for agriculture. Wheat and turnips were being planted. However, in 1871, the lake began to return, and by the spring of 1876 it had already reassumed its usual size. The last brief and partial vanishing took place during the summer of 1949, when the northern part of the lake bed to the approximate latitude of Podersdorf fell dry for a few weeks. Each time, the drying up of the lake bed caused major environmental disruptions because the humidifying and temperature buffering effect of the large water body was absent, and because the winds blew large amounts of salty dust into the surrounding villages. On earlier occasions, the lake was sometimes referred to as a swamp, suggesting a very low water level with an expansion of reeds throughout the lake bed. Two records dated to 1318 and 1324 respectively mention a river, implying that at this time the lake might have been reduced to a central body of water running from north to south. Today the water level is controlled by an artificial outflow, the Einserkanal, and a sluice on Hungarian territory near Fertő, and bilateral issues are dealt with by the Austro-Hungarian Water Commission, which was established in 1956. However, comparatively minor fluctuations of the lake's level continue to occur. In 1965, the lake gained 100 million cubic meters, 3.5 billion cubic feet of water within a single month, raising its level by 35 cm 14 inches. The water level decreased, to a similar extent, by 30 cm 12 inches within 1 year as a result of the drought of 2003. Both types of events are perfectly within the normal range, and because of the shallowness of the water can be either exacerbated or compensated by the effects of wind pressure, which can temporarily raise or reduce the local water level by as much as 75 cm 30 inches. However, the lake remains sensitive to changes in its equilibrium, as recent climate change scenario simulations have shown. Before the regulation works of the 19th century, the lake extended in the southeast to the marshlands of the Hensag German, Wasen, which have been increasingly drained and claimed for agriculture from the 16th century onward. Originally, the lake was thus closely connected to the Danube and the Robber River systems. Nature and wildlife. Towns and villages around the lake. Traces of human settlement around Lake Neusiedl go back to the Neolithic period. The area became densely populated from the 7th century BC onward, initially by people of the Holstedt culture, and remained so throughout Roman times. In 454 Theodoric the Great, the preeminent king of the Ostrogoths, was born here. Near Fertő there are 2 Roman villas and a 3rd century Mithras temple open to visitors. The more important extant towns lying on the lake's shore are Ilmik, Podersdorf am See Patvalu Waden Bedena, Neusiedl am See Nezider, Joys Newlis Winden Sassany, Breitenbrunn Ferticelliscut, Perbach am Neusiedler See Fekitiveros, Donnerskirchen Fertoforigi Haza, Augau Oko, Rust and Morbisch Fertongeise. Hungarian names of Austrian towns lying on the lake's shore are given in parentheses. Gallery. Tourism. Despite remaining a protected wildlife habitat, the region of Lake Neusiedl, particularly in its Austrian part, draws significant numbers of tourists. The lake is known as the Sea of the Viennese as it offers ample opportunities for sailing and windsurfing at a reasonable distance from Vienna. There is also some commercial fishing. Low water levels pose a problem for sailing and commercial shipping, as boats hit the ground more frequently and mooring sites can become temporarily unusable. However, it somewhat facilitates the annual freestyle mass crossing of the lake from Morbisch to Ilmix. Everybody who can swim and is more than 160 cm 5 ft3 in height can participate in this event, which was revived in 2004.